I'm Evan Inada, Charcuterie Director for Columbus Craft Meats, and I've been sharing my love of salooning with the world for over 15 years. I'm dedicated to making charcuterie fun for everyone. We're in Portland to talk with artisan food and beverage makers about why they are dedicated to their craft. It's a city where waiting in line for handcrafted food is all part of the fun, so I could tell I'll fit in here just fine.
People here take the time to really invest in something and learn about it, care about it, and execute it for all of us to eat.
Nothing makes me happier than picking the fruit,
filling my bucket. Better than that.
And I think it kind of translates through to the end.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's an artistic industry. You can see a winemaker in the wines for sure.
Yeah. Food really tells that person's personality.
Cooking is a way to express myself.
Food really carries that love through one person to the next.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it so much fun.
That personal touch, yeah. We can lead you to the people that grew all the stuff and talk about their process with it all. And that's really important for me.
And it's harder farming, but it brings something different to the wine.
We're all passionate about doing local food in a way that makes something really delicious accessible to our community.
This is one of the reasons why I moved here. It's crazy to think that we're in a city right now. We're in Forest Park, one of the biggest parks in city limits in the country. I mean, if you just like chopped all those trees down, which I wouldn't do, and look down that hill, you'd see downtown.
Yeah, you'd be right in downtown again.
I work at Jen's Pastries. This is a cake that I made.
Wow.
It's a chamomile cake with chamomile pastry cream, chamomile Swiss meringue buttercream, and peach jam. But since we're talking about hitting all different notes on your palate, then I'm gonna hit you with a savory real quick. So this is cream cheese chive puff pastry dough, and it makes the most beautiful crackly sound.
Thank you so much.
There you go, that's your palate.
Yeah, that's my little bite right there, yeah, perfect bite.
So, Portland, people are willing to wait for things. And people line up in the parking lot around the block and they'll wait for an hour. Like, that's a fun Saturday morning to them.
Wanting to wait in line for an hour just to try a croissant, that takes a special personality, and I think Portland's always known for being weird. But here, it's more built around passion. And I think sometimes it could be mistaken for weird.
That's a good point. I think so. Like, a lot of eccentric people out here, but you're right, they're just like really passionate.
Some people are like, that's a weirdo. If all he does is pay attention to salami and think about salami 24 hours a day, it's kind of weird.
Maybe you fit in here.
So I would fit in pretty well over here. Jam goes beyond standard when you approach it with handcrafted process and quality ingredients. Big Jam takes an array of delicious fruit available locally, adds a chef's wisdom and enthusiasm for great food, and delivers happiness to people through jam. Yeah, it's been a passion really in terms of...
Beyond that.
Yeah,
it's become my being. Like, being the jam man.
Yeah.
I was a chef for the better part of my adult life. And always working with seasonality and wherever I lived, whatever was local and fresh and in season. And it just was another avenue for my career to enter into, and it's been my favorite so far.
I love this currant jam. For somebody that doesn't know what a currant tastes like, what would they be trying?
So you find that they're rich, they're sweet, they're sour, they're herbaceous, there's that juniper notes that come through the sinuses. Like, they really transport well. Like, they have a lot of flavor packed into them. And so the marriage really nice with this charcuterie.
Yeah, so this is amazing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm wanting to highlight, because it has its qualities that are very similar to wines too. So having it with a Merlot, Belvetano with the aged cheese, as well as like a Sopressata for us, that complexity of the red pepper and sweet fennel just allows the currants to just shine and the flavor combined.
The currant has the tannins in it, like a wine does. So it's pulling all the moisture out of the backs here.
Exactly.
And it's and then it replaces it with all that delicious herbaceous flour, and it goes through the sinuses, like I said.
Yeah, totally.
Pairs really well with
Yeah,
this.
finish it up with one of these dark chocolates with a little bit of berries on top, and
I'm gonna follow you around.
it just
Walker.
continues to go good together. And when you're sipping a glass of wine too. To get the full flavor experience out of perfect charcuterie bites, we always recommend beverage pairings. Wine provides a great way to enhance and even transform the flavors of salumi. So we're headed to the award-winning Brooks Winery to sample their offerings. They're passionate about biodynamic wines, and it's easy to see how they carry their values into their winemaking.
So this is our estate vineyard, and one of the oldest vineyards in the Willamette Valley. So we're actually this year celebrating our 25th year making wine and our 50th year growing vines.
That's amazing.
So we have the Janus Pinot Noir, which for us, it's the first wine we started making back in '98. It's not as fruity as California, but it's not as earthy as Burgundy. It's kind of more in the middle. But for this, for sure, it leans a little bit more towards those earth notes and mushrooms and forest floor.
Ooh, that is nice. And I love that, especially when you're pairing for charcuterie, when you have those earthy notes, sometimes you want to pick a pairing that's a little bit sweeter or a little bit lighter to just elevate into charcuterie, elevate that wine and just really get all that body together. So we're going to start off with the Italian dry right here. And Italian dry is one of our tried and trues as well. So one of our classic flavors, and we're gonna go with a lamb chopper. So lamb chopper is it's a aged cheese made out of sheep's milk, and it has a nice subtle sweetness to it. So when you pair the Italian dry and the lamb chopper together, really, you get that body of the flavor that really just adds perfectly to elevate your wine. So let's give that a try, and then you follow it up with a little bit of acidity in the raspberry. So
Okay.
cheers. Thank you. So you notice when you eat the Italian dry and get that lamb's chopper together, you really kind of build up a little bit of robustness to add to that earthiness of flavor with the wine. And you want the charcuterie not to take away from the wine that you're enjoying, when vice versa as well.
Exactly. Nothing's supposed to dominate the other. Like the key to a perfect pairing.
Exactly.
I have this woman, she always talks about it, it's a magical first kiss. Like, right?
really
It just
is,
works, right? Like you don't overly taste the wine, you don't overly taste the food, it all just kind of blends together and elevates both of them at the same time.
Next, we visit Ken's Artisan Bakery, not only to sample pastries and coffee, but to get some very special bread for our charcuterie. Ken helped elevate bakeries in Portland by bringing techniques and tastes from Paris with him. So this is Ken's Artisan, right?
Yes,
Great.
this is Ken's.
Love this bakery. And I noticed like there's so many pastry shops in Portland.
There's so
Around.
many, and I really think that we have these guys to thank. Like,
Yeah.
they started it all here, and I think that since the lines go down the street, other people are looking around like, well, we need something in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
I know that Ken, he spent a lot of time in Paris, and like that's where he got his inspiration from. It's a lot of laminated
I didn't notice that.
doughs, and
When you're talking about like the bakery and the local bakery, that is really like that kind of European culture.
just like the idea of going each day and buying it fresh, I feel like
Yeah.
Ken's embodies that.
So I definitely want a Fuselli. Go with that escargot.
Raspberry
then, yeah.
escargot.
Can I get one of those small baguettes up top?
A shot of espresso, please.
Espresso, perfect.
Oh,
Yeah. Pretty one. Yeah.
oh
Has
yeah,
that
that's
texture.
beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a
See,
good day.
I just love tiny things.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with tiny things.
The perfect sip.
Yeah. It's clear to see why people gladly wait in line for Ken's creations. The bakery helped take the city's food to the next level. Another example of expertise is found at Portland Creamery. Their team is focused on making the best quality chef from a single herd of prize goats using traditional practices.
Portland Creamery is a farmstead creamery, which means all of our manufacturing happens at the same location as the milking and the herd lives.
That's amazing.
And that's one of the key aspects of the Chev. Without really, really good quality milk that is treated very gently, you can't make a super clean, fresh cheese like Portland Creameries.
What I wanted to start on first is really just finding a good pairing that really calls out the umami of our salami, the saltiness and all that fermented goodness with your Chev, and really still getting all that tanginess. So what I wanted to do with the Oregon Chev was just take a little bit of a dollop. So we're gonna do the cantaloupe, which has that nice sweetness and smoothness to it. And then we're gonna pair that with a finocchione. So this is one of my favorite salumi that we make. So for this salami, you see that wild fennel seed in every single slice.
Yeah, it's
so
gorgeous.
slow aging that all the way through and really making sure that flavor comes through. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a chef to really just kind of keep that salami wrapped around it, so you have that perfect bite. Before we get to that, tell me a little bit more about the caramels.
Cheese making is really just concentrating certain parts of the milk. What you're left with, that whey has some protein in it, it has some native salts in it, and it has a bunch of lactic acid because of the fermentation of the cheese.
Interesting.
So we use that whey as the base to make a caramel. And what we end up with is a caramel that's not only sweet, as you would expect from a caramel sauce, but also is balanced with savory notes, salt, and then that tartness. And it recovers all of that nutritive value from the farmland that we would otherwise have to process or do something else with.
I think that's so amazing, especially when you're talking about recycling and using all that goodness that the farm brings and the goats bring in. So just bringing a little drizzle onto it. So again, taking that Portland, Oregon chef with the cantaloupe as that sweet base, and then just wrapping it around this finocchione. And feel free to let's dig in and try a bite of that.
I can't
wait.
wait.
I think that's going to really kind of pop in terms of the flavor. So cheers.
Cheers.
So you're getting that tanginess of the cheese still exploding. It's the first thing that kind of hits your palate. But then all that saltiness and the fennel seed from the finocchione along with that sweetness just all coming together in one bite.
It is absolutely delicious. That bite was phenomenal.
A visit to Portland would not be complete without a stop at some of its 500 food carts. Like charcuterie, it brings people together around an experience of enjoying food. There are countless options and combinations to sample flavors from both nearby and around the world. And I love really how this isn't just a regular sushi cart. This is like their interpretation, adding a lot of Mexican flavors and ingredients
kind of tying
in there.
it together.
I think that's kind of the fun about new age charcuterie boards. It's not usually just a mix of one culture on there.
Yeah.
It's like a hodgepodge of all these different cultural flavors put on the board, which is always fun and always good to wash it down with some good beer and wine. So.
And there's a lot of that out here in Oregon. Green, gold, brown.
And I think all the color is always so important when you're building a charcuterie board, especially.
Beauty.
Wow. When you look at how authentic this is in terms of Chinese street food at its finest, the fact that you can find it here in Portland is so much fun and amazing to me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank
We'll
you.
get this full feast started.
Usually this is a long wait. It's a shared experience when you're waiting in line. You're here for one common goal.
That's really how charcuterie, it brings people together. So all different types of food just always are the perfect icebreaker for any occasion. It really starts conversation, gets people talking, and getting to know about the food first, but then everything else surrounding the food.
Right, the experience is being here, hanging out in the food cart pods or in a park, bringing a picnic. That's really big here too. It's it's all about just breaking bread with other people.
And to share food, and through sharing that food, build relationships.
Yeah.
And there's a communal aspect to it as well.
Oh, totally.
The very community on a charcuterie board. Because if you're making this just for yourself, that's an undertaking. So you're wanting to be sharing this with people, and that's in itself is an act of love.
Yep.
If you're pouring your love into the charcuterie board, as simple or as complex as you want to make it, you're showing an expression of yourself with it as well.
Again, it's always about enjoyment.
So that people can have community and experiences and enjoy wonderful food, and charcuterie is amazing.
Yeah, it's meant for every occasion. Exploring Portland reminded me that sharing food is an act of love and a chance to share a bit of yourself. Food creates community, and Portland is an incredible food community with exceptional ingredients and passionate people to stand behind and in line for awesome food. There's nothing better than taking a food adventure to discover great flavors and connect with people who are as excited about perfect charcuterie bites as I am.